Welcome to the medicine card reading for April. The theme this month is lightness of being, and we're going to be consulting this deck of animal cards to get insight into what this month ahead of us has in store. So I'm going to be pulling 3 cards, as I do each month, and looking at what are the motivations, what are the influences, what are the things we need to be looking out for, or what are the elements that we will be playing with this month as we step into lightness and we step into beingness of who we most deeply are. So the first card of the month, as I say playfulness, is Coyote. And Coyote, as many of you know, is the trickster. And that's one piece of who Coyote is. And as we're looking at this month of April, as we're looking at starting out from a place of playfulness, a place of tricksterness, we're also being asked to look at where are we being clever within our own selves, within our own lives. How are we tricking ourselves from seeing where we need to be going, what we need to be doing, who we need to be being in our lives, in our world, in our relationships with each other. But really, we are clever beings. As humans, we know how to survive. We know how to move through situations. We know how to get out of situations. We know how to manipulate with our words, with our actions, with our choices, with our money. We know how to be clever. And what Coyote reminds us is to say, how are we using that cleverness to come back into a balance of life and death, a balance of death and rebirth. And April is also the beginning of spring. So we have this new season of rebirth before us. So how are we stepping into, how are we birthing ourselves, rebirthing ourselves into a place of survival that is also about thriving, honesty, and clarity. And so we can be clever and also be transparent. We can be clever and we can also thrive. And so Coyote is offering us this medicine and this message. And so if we take anything away from this beginning part of the reading, is really to pay attention to how are you tricking yourself? How are you tricking others? And what can you do to come back into an honest and true relationship with your words and be in integrity in your actions in the world and relationships around you? So then, of course, the second part of this, as we're looking at our cleverness, we're looking at the ways that we manipulate, the ways that we come into balance, is the animal that comes next for us is Hummingbird. And so who is the Hummingbird? The Hummingbird is, first, the smallest bird in the animal kingdom. And it is the only bird that can fly still and be in a still place while in midair. And it is the only bird that flies backwards. And so what we're looking at is in our cleverness, in this rebalancing, in this rebirth that we are going through and as we are looking at in ourselves, as we are claiming and reclaiming our integrity, Hummingbird comes in and says, stop. All right, what are you hearing? What are you listening to? What are you paying attention to? Because a hummingbird has that moment to be speedy, speedy, speedy through life, but then stop. There's something I need to pay attention to. There's something that has caught my ear, caught my eye, caught my awareness. What is that? What is that in your life this month? So be on the wait for that. Pay attention to that. Open your awareness, expand it wider, higher, deeper. Spread it out. Because there's something that you're going to need to stop and listen to get the messages that you need to move forward into your beingness, your lightness, your freedom this month. And so that is how Hummingbird is going to show up for you. And so this month, as the spring is becoming more vibrant and the flowers are blooming, it's very likely you will see more hummingbirds. And when you do, stop and watch. Notice how she is moving. Notice how she is pausing. Notice where she goes, how she moves. And that will give you some deeper insight for you about how to move and act and react in those places in your life that you've needed to stop and listen to. And so the last one, this is interesting. So we're going into the last part of April, the last message, and we get Dolphin. So we've started with a land animal, We've gone into the air with this tiny, tiny little hummingbird. And now we dive deep into the ocean with the dolphin. And we started with the playfulness of Coyote. We end with the playfulness of Dolphin. And so this month is, as you're, excuse me, as you're digging into your rebirth, as you're playing in the elements of spring and flowers blooming and trees expanding and leaves showing up everywhere, that we also get to play and be joyful and be light and be carefree. And where are the places in your life that you are not being playful? Where can you add more playfulness? Where can you add more laughter? Where can you add that humor, that I don't know what else to word, the playfulness. It's a really good word. The playfulness with yourself, with your emotions. And one of the things that Dolphin is speaking to here, as a water animal, as an animal that lives and thrives within the oceans, it's about digging into our emotional body. And where are you not laughing? Where are you taking yourself too seriously? Right? And we oftentimes, and we're in place of surviving our lives. And so we can get really, really, really serious. And we also have to get out of that and leap out of the water, because the dolphin doesn't always stay in the water, right? When you're going on a whale watching trip, which are pretty amazing, or any of those trips, or you're on a ferry and you see dolphins, oftentimes as they swim alongside, they will play with you and they will fly through the air and the water, the air and the water. And so mixing those elements of water and air in your own life is about mixing that playfulness, that beauty, that joy, that sucking the nectar out of life that Hummingbird offers, with the depths of your emotion that the sea, that the dolphin offers. So how do you mix both of those together? And that's where you find your balance, and that's where you find your lightness of being. And so I offer this to you as a reading for April, to notice the ways that you are clever, where you are stopping yourself, where you are holding yourself back, and to dive into the ways that you need to start paying attention to yourself, to your behaviors, to the ways that you move in the world. And notice the ways that you are being, and so that you can bring more playfulness, more joy, more excitement into your life. Thank you.